Welcome, everyone. For avid meeting watchers, you might have noticed that last month's meeting didn't get recorded. There was an error I made somewhere, not in the recording process, but in the saving process. So I will do a better job. I appreciate everyone's patience, and I know everyone was just really wanting to rewatch last month's meeting, and I'm sorry that I don't have that opportunity for you, but fear not, we will fix that. So next month you will have that opportunity. So the first thing on our agenda is doing our welcome and call to order. I'll do a quick Zoom orientation for folks. A couple things I would highly suggest in your upper right-hand corner, there's a view button with 9 dots, and I would suggest viewing it in gallery mode so that my face isn't giant on your screen. When I record, when I move from this part to the next thing, I'll change it to speaker mode so that the recording is only on this, highlighting the speaker, but I would suggest watching it in gallery mode. For folks that are joining the meeting, we do ask that you identify yourself with your first and last name, and the way that you do that is on the picture of yourself. There should be 3 dots in the upper right hand, and at the bottom, there's an option for rename. So that's really helpful to us to list your first and last name. If you don't do that, you will likely get a friendly message from one of our co-hosts asking you to rename yourself, or if you're having tech difficulties, you can message us with your name and we can update it for you. So speaking of that, the chat function that we have right now will allow you to chat with hosts. So folks, especially presenters that want to share resources, if you want to put that information in a message to the hosts, we can share it out widely. But we made that decision as an executive board to keep our meetings running and avoid distractions during that time. Speaking of meetings, keeping meetings running, I will do my very best to stick to the agenda in time, stick to our time limits. So if you are speaking and you go over your time, I will kindly interrupt you so that we can stay on track. Apologies in advance of no disrespect meant there, just trying to keep us on track with our busy agenda. For folks that are joining, we'll ask that you stay muted unless you're speaking. We will mute you if it seems like you're not trying to speak. All questions should go through the chair, so myself, Meg, and we'll take questions either you put it in the chat to the hosts or raise your hand and we'll come up with the time for questions. So I am going to share my screen with a couple of resources. So the first thing is our agenda, and I'll note that there are a couple of updates to the agenda today. I made a quick typo. Our meeting was last month on April 6th, I think. So just a quick apology for that error. We're moving our audit committee report to next month, to May, so that we can make sure to have a full and accurate report for everyone. And then rather than Lindsay presenting the traffic calming resolution, I believe Jed is going to be doing that tonight. And these agendas, we try our best to get sent out a week before, and you should be receiving that in the emails, and it directs you to the website. Hopefully if I toggle to this screen, you guys can see this, the Spenard Community Council website. Matt or Margaret, can you guys see that? Okay, cool. All right, so this is where you can go. I just Google Spenard Community Council and it pulls up the FCC website. It has our info for our meetings, our meeting handouts. Anytime I get information from legislators, I put that on here. Our draft resolutions for consideration. You can read up on these before because we don't have a lot of time during the meeting to read out all the details. But if you're just seeing this now, you're welcome to navigate to this website to read these before we go over it today. All right. And I believe we just put in the chat, or we'll be putting in the chat the sign-in sheet. We encourage you to please sign in to our meeting today. There'll be a door prize drawing at the end for a gift card, and we run it based on, or we draw the lucky winner from that sign-in sheet. Perfect. Yep, the sign-in sheet is there. If you have any difficulties, sometimes folks have difficulty accessing forms, feel free to message one of the hosts and we can sign you in for you. We're totally happy to do that. So the next part, I wanted to introduce our executive board members that are here. So we have Vice President Matt Duncan and Auditor Margaret McDonough. We have Secretary Sarah Prescott, another auditor, Peggy Auth here, Auditor Irene. I'm not seeing Julie, our treasurer. I know she said she might be a little late, but Julie Leonard is our treasurer. So the next part before we go on is getting consent agenda. So approving the minutes from the previous meeting, which are available on the website, in the agenda for tonight's meeting, noting those quick changes that I made, that we're not going to do the audit committee tonight. That'll be pushed to May. And if Julie's not here, we won't be able to do the treasurer report. I'm hoping she'll log in, and then Jed will be presenting the traffic calming. And then if some folks that were invited but aren't here, we'll just skip over for their brief report section. But can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Awesome. Thank you, Margaret. All righty. So now we're moving into our next topic, which is our state legislator report. And we have Representative Matt Clayman here, and he has 10 minutes. We thought we'd give him a little longer than 5 because we know it's a busy time, and that 10 minutes does include time for questions. So Matt, thank you so much for being here tonight, and take it from here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's great to see you all in the wide world of Zoom. Things are pretty busy in the Capitol right now. We're coming down today is exactly, if we finish on the 121st day, that's going to be May 18th. So that's exactly 14 days from today. And of course, the biggest issue is the budget. Working forward on that. The Senate has the budget. I think it was on the floor today. They were considering some amendments, and we're expecting that to move in the next couple of days back to the House. A big part of the budget that's getting a lot of attention and some push from the Anchorage mayor about funding for the port. That's been an area in which a lot of Anchorage legislators, including me, have been trying to be pushing for more money for the port. So far, the Senate has not as much in the capital budget for the port as the House is looking for. There was a hearing today on that, and actually, interestingly enough, apparently there was a question asked from a finance person from the municipality, what would they do with the money? And I think the answer was they probably wouldn't be able to use it until about 2025. And so their goal would be to put it in savings until they could start using it. At least that's what's been reported to me. And then other questions about what plans do they have. And so it sounds like they're still at some preliminary stages. I'm not sure how the port funding request is going over with the kind of the legislature as a whole, but that's certainly something that I think we're all paying attention to. Another part that is part of the port funding is that Senator Murkowski got a lot of money in the so-called IJA, the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, a lot of money for ports. And it sounds like even though there's money that the municipality may be eligible for, at least so far, the Bronson administration has not applied for any of those port funds. And that's, again, I don't know all the details, but it's certainly a concern of mine. If there's potential federal money, my view is that you should get every application in as fast as possible. So I'm not quite sure what the Bronson administration is doing on that, but that's a big part of the Anchorage parts. A couple of budget features that have been areas of controversy and different approaches in the House and Senate. One area is the House approved funding for the state to take over primacy on Clean Water Act regulation and permitting. That's a process that sounds like it's about 2 years before the application would even be approved, and they're proposing to add 28 positions to the Department of Environmental Conservation to start the process of that application. That was a pretty divisive issue in the House. It passed, the additional money passed by a fairly small margin. The Senate budget doesn't have the Clean Water Act funding in it, so that'll be an area that between the House and the Senate, it'll have to be worked out. Another area that a lot of people have commented on, I think there's a lot of interest in Anchorage, was the the governor's proposal to have the state pay for his lawsuit settlement where he personally violated the constitutional rights of the 2 doctors at the Alaska Psychiatric Institute. The House voted to take that out of the budget. The Senate has that in the budget, so that's another area in which the House and Senate will have to work out those differences. So those are just a few of the.
So how many group boxes do they have?
I don't know, like 40?
That's some of the highlights in terms of the budget. In terms of legislation that's passing, again, I'm not going to go through everything, but one of the pieces of legislation that a lot of people have been following carefully is the mental health education provision in public schools. That bill has passed the Senate. It's under consideration now in the House, and hopefully hoping to get that onto the House floor here in the next several days and get that passed beforehand. There's some questions, particularly about education and the so-called READS Act. That's a bill that's had a lot of work, and it's, I think it, in terms of where it's going, is still lots of discussions going on, and not quite sure how that's going to work out. But those are just a couple of areas in terms of legislative things. I know the governor has introduced, I think, 3 different crime bills. We're likely to pass out of House Judiciary a fairly detailed and carefully reviewed legislation that will change how consent is defined in rape cases or sexual assault cases. And I think that's going to get out of House Judiciary. I'm not sure whether it's going to make it to the floor or not, but that's been an area that's addressed in the governor's bills, as well as the bill in House Judiciary. So again, not sure how that's going to progress in terms of the overall finishing date, but that's just some updates, and then happy to answer any questions you all may have. I don't want to do the whole time talking, want to hear your comments and questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And you've been stuck to your regular 5-minute time, so thank you. Any questions? I'm checking the chat here to see. Not seeing any. If anyone wants to raise a hand, you're welcome to.
All right, I guess I'll add just one last note. Really big news nationally and in Alaska was the draft opinion that got released, not a final decision, but the draft opinion about abortion rights from the Supreme Court. And obviously for many of us, that's very disappointing and pretty discouraging. There is a House bill, it's actually one of my bills, that's a House Bill 58 that would require insurance companies to provide 12 months of contraception coverage to women rather than a 3-month prescription coverage. I'm not sure if that bill is going to get considered on the House floor, but that's something that I've been working on over the years, and a lot of people very supportive of that. And so at least it may be something that we may take up to some extent in reflection on what's gone on, at least that clearly under consideration by the Supreme Court, even though we don't know what the final decision is going to be.
Great. Thank you so much, Representative Clayman. Seeing and hearing no questions, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you all for all your work in the Spenard community, and looking forward to being home and on the bike trails again soon.
Wonderful. We'll see you around.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. So next on our agenda, we have Assemblyperson Felix Rivera, who we'll say typically we've been having our 2 West Anchorage Assembly folks, Austin and Cameron, join us at these meetings, and we're still excited to have them, but because of the reapportionment process, we are now represented. Spenard Community Council is split a couple different ways, so we figured it made the most sense to have one person come each time and give an update, and we have a rotating plan to make that happen, with Meg Zalatel joining us next month. I believe I saw Felix on the line. Felix, welcome to our meeting.
Great, thanks. Thanks so much. And yeah, happy to give my first report to this community council. So a few different areas to report on. First is on housing and homelessness. So I'm going to primarily focus on the Navigation Center since that's what's in the news. But I want to encourage folks to read the latest and greatest update, which is a little bit old, but the latest update by clicking on the link on the muni.org homepage. There's a link, housing and homelessness. Click that, you'll be able to see all of the latest updates. But to the Navigation Center, last Thursday, there was a special assembly meeting where this was pretty much the topic that we were all talking about. And coming into that meeting, the assumptions were that we were talking about a 200 bed low barrier shelter with a possibility of emergency surge capacity of 130, rough cost of $9 million, and opening around June 30. Going through the process at that meeting, there was an amendment that was put forward by Assemblymember Dunbar to reduce the number of beds to 150 plus 50 emergency surge capacity. So that was approved. So that's the new paradigm we're working on there. And then there were updates in terms of the total cost and timeline. So roughly looking at potentially $13 to $14 million is what the administration put forward on Thursday, as well as an updated timeline of construction of the interior being completed by November 4th. That, of course, raised a lot of different questions. So the Assembly decided to postpone action on the item until May 10th. There's a work session that is currently scheduled for this upcoming Monday from 1 to 3 p.m. In conference room 155 in City Hall, and it'll also be streaming on YouTube for folks who can't or don't want to go to City Hall. Hopefully we'll be able to address a lot of the questions that Assembly members raised on Thursday in advance of the potential vote on Tuesday. And this is item 13A on the agenda. So there will still be public hearing at the Assembly meeting on this item. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the budget. So the Assembly approved our first quarter budget revisions with a variety of different amendments that focused on public safety, mental health, and other investments that are in line with the Assembly's priorities. Unfortunately, the mayor did decide to veto most, if not all of those amendments, which the Assembly included. And at some point soon, we will be meeting to override those vetoes, and I fully expect the Assembly to do that. A lot of these investments we think as a majority on the Assembly are really critical. So looking forward to having that discussion soon. On the Port of Alaska, this seems to be a very fluctuating number that I have seen. And I guess that's just how things happen in the legislature. Initially, we were talking about possibly $25 million getting included. Now we're talking, and then it was $200 million yesterday, and now today I'm hearing $400 million being thrown around. So there'll be some amount of money in the House capital budget, and then in the Senate capital budget as well. And then likely, we will see what a conference committee comes up with. Regarding the federal infrastructure bill, which the representative brought up, I certainly hope that the Brunson administration does apply for as many competitive grants in the federal infrastructure bill as possible. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have a window in that. I have asked the administration to be transparent about the grants that they are applying for, and they have denied my request. So hopefully, we as a public will learn about the different grants that are being applied for. Speaking of grants, the municipality will be receiving approximately $50 million at the end of this month in ARPA 2 grant, in ARPA 2 funds. So the application for folks who are interested in receiving some of those funds actually started today, and it goes through May 20th. That's the application deadline, the application window rather. And if you want to apply, go to the Assembly website, muni.org/assembly. The main priority areas that the Assembly is focusing on for the ARPA 2 funds are child and family supports, housing, economic development, and healthy workforce. So those are the main buckets that we're hoping to fund with these second and likely what's going to be the last round of federal stimulus that's coming into the municipality, in terms of sort of a bucket that we can use as we deem fit, of course, within federal guidelines. A couple more things.
Right about at 5 minutes. Is it okay if we move on to the questions,
Sure.
please? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, I see Bob and Peggy hand up.
Hi, Felix, this is Bob Hoth. What's the status of the Barrett Inn and the homeless equation?
Yeah, so the Barrett Inn was one of the facilities that initially was in the plan. Going through the due diligence process, which is the normal process that we go through to see if this facility will actually meet the needs of what we're looking for. It was determined that it won't for a variety of factors, one of them being costs. It was just the renovation and all these other costs just were adding up too much. And so it didn't make fiscal sense to move forward with the Barrett Inn, which is why we've transitioned over to the guest house that is going to serve the same function as what we were hoping the Barrett Inn would.
Excellent. Okay. Any other questions from, I'm not seeing any in the chat. I'm not seeing any other hands raised. So, all right. Thank you so much, Felix, for joining us tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our future meetings. Welcome to Spenard. Okay. All right. Next up on the agenda, we have Margot Bellamy with the Anchorage School Board report. And Margot, you'll have 5 minutes for your update. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I will be brief. We are in the middle. We survived prom. Kids had a glorious time. We are now into graduations. I attended Wayleig's graduation tonight. That was my first graduation, and we will have 10 days straight of graduations, and that includes our Big 8 as well as our special programs. So if you know a graduate, please give them some love, show them lots of love. It's been 2 years. We will have all of our Big 8 graduations at the Alaska Airlines Center. Families are excited. But there is limited seating. But if you know a family that needs extra tickets, just make sure they have a conversation with their school principal. Every family won't need 6 tickets, but we are still social distancing, and the area behind the stage just won't have visibility. So we're not encouraging people to sit there. We met yesterday, and our purpose was basically to reorganize the board as well as end the 21-22 school year. So we are now entering into the 22-23 school year. We have new officers, well, some new officers. I am continuing as president. Our new vice president will be Carl Jacobs. Our new clerk will be Dora Wilson, and continuing as treasurer will be Kelly Lessons. We did have our swearing in of the newly elected officers, which was myself and Kelly last night as well. So our next meeting will be Tuesday, the 17th. We still encourage people, if you would like to provide comment on any subject, we provide 2 opportunities at each meeting. And I'll have those links in the report that I will share with the chair. And hopefully if they will all work. I just tested them, they're all working. As you know, the bond failed. Our Proposition 1 failed. On May 24th, the board will have its initial discussion on that bond and discuss our next steps forward. We are hoping that by that time, our legislators will have come to some consensus around budget and funding that would hopefully benefit the ASD. And there are several bills that could potentially do that. So on the 24th, we'll have that discussion. That is a live stream. So if you'd like to hear, at least listen in, please do so. Our new superintendent will be on site and transitioning as of May 16th. That is Dr. Jarrett Bryant. I have a link in the report if you'd like to read about him. If you have specific questions he will be doing several community engagements when he gets here. But if you have other questions, please send them to me. I'll be happy to respond. On May 11th, we have the Etheldra Davis Elementary School renaming event. That will be at Fairview Elementary School on May 11th, starting at 5:30. We have 2 draft calendars that we would like input on. There's a calendar, draft A and draft B. And so when you get a minute, there's a link for you to give us your thoughts on that. Graduation dates, all of our graduations, the big ones, will be live streamed. So our special programs, like our immersion programs, won't be live streamed, but the big programs, the high school programs, will be live streamed. So if you don't get a family ticket, then you can watch it. You still have access to that, to the graduation. So with that, I think I'll just wrap up and leave some time for your questions.
Excellent. Thank you,
Thank
Margot.
you, Meg.
All right. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, but I do have a hand raised from Matt or Margaret. Take it away.
Hi, guys.
Mute. There you go. I just wanted to hear you talk about, I saw the article in the paper about the cultural regalia being worn by graduates. I want to hear about that because that sounds fabulous. And then also, I'm sure you read in the paper all the letters to the editor that were talking about their big concern about the plan of the school that the bond missed on was that the playground would be in the shade of a 2-story building all winter long, as opposed to the way that it is now with the building being north of the playground, if that makes sense. I may not have read all of those correctly, but that's all.
Sure. So regarding the cultural regalia, any student who would like to represent their culture, either through their adornment, any kind of cultural adornment is allowed. They do not need permission. So they can adorn they have to wear the traditional cap and gown, but they may adorn their cap. They may add a stole or I call it a stole. What do you call it? It's the little, the sash that hangs around their neck. They can replace it with something cultural. So they have opportunities to represent and express their cultures in whichever way they'd like. And so we are looking forward. That is not new. What is new is that, number one, they don't need permission. And number two, we've been really clear on on what is allowable and what is not. So I expect that and I'm excited about that. I just attended Whaley Elementary School, and we had tonight, just before here, and they only had 9 graduates, but 2 of those graduates had cultural regalia, and that just made my heart smile. Now, regarding the Inlet View situation, we have been 2 years in that planning process. And we have responded, to the community. These are the issues that you raise are issues that came up in January. The design money for this project was actually on the 2020 bond. We started immediately planning that. Now, that was in the context of COVID. And so so people felt that they were not given information, the neighbors. So we went back, we added new seats to the design committee. So we expanded the committee. We gave extra space and room for voice. We are still working through because there are neighbors who are closest to the school that are just not happy. So since the bond passed, we don't know what we're going to do, how we're going to build Inlet View, a new Inlet View. They deserve a new elementary school. That school is probably our oldest school in the district. The kids need a new elementary school. The kids and the parents and the staff are absolutely supportive of the design as it is. We continue to work with the community to try to find a path forward that would satisfy their concerns. So that's about all I can say about that. It's not a done deal. I'm praying, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Juneau is our legislators are gonna come through. I feel very optimistic, and we may have some choice there. not just for Inlet View Elementary, but for our capital improvement projects. So thank you for the questions.
Yeah, thank you. I think we do have time for one more question, if that's okay, Marco. We're a little over time, but I think
I'm good.
Perfect. Okay, Yvonne, I see your hand up.
Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, this is the first time I've ever done this, but my child goes to Willowcrest, and he is in the community of Northwood, or supposed to go to Northwood. He's in a program for extended resource. And I recently found out that they are closing that program. And these are for kids who need a little or need help. They're behind, and it's a smaller classroom with a lot more support. And I want it out there that this program is extremely important. And I work for ASD, and they want to mainstream these children and push in, is what they call it, pushing in with support. But I want the community to know that right now ASD has no substitutes. And right now for TAs, there's last time I checked 112 openings. And they are expecting, I believe, at the end of this coming up year to close down that program. And that will be for my child's 6th grade year. He will then switch schools again, be mainstreamed, and I am afraid for him. And I would like to know how I can talk to people to hopefully get it to stay, because Willowcrest has done amazing for me. And so
thank you for the question. I really hear what you're saying. I don't know the details, but I will be happy to work with you offline to try to to make sure that your concerns are addressed, because I don't know the reasoning behind, as I sit here tonight, behind closing the program. I have an other able grandson, and I absolutely agree. When they're doing fine and they have the supports they needed, then that's where I want them to be. And so let's connect offline. I'll give you my number. I'll put it in the chat. And actually, I'll give it to you right now. Just write my number down and we'll connect offline. Because
Okay.
this is going to be more than just a single okay. So I can be reached at 907-903-9820. And we will figure out what because I was not aware that anything was moving from Willowcrest. Now I do remember a program being moved. I think that was Gladys Wood being moved to I think it was Baxter around Christmas time. And you are correct. We have had the subs we need, but we have not had enough subs. We have had administrators coming from the ad building to cover not just teaching positions, but also our TA positions. We've had that. That's just the way it's been, and it's been like that all year. Part of it is COVID. The other part is people are making other decisions in terms of how they want to of their career. So that has been a challenge. So I will confirm, and that I do know about. So give me a call, send me a text, and we'll hook up and have a conversation at your convenience.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. And Mario, thank you for being here tonight. And we appreciate
Oh,
it.
and I'm sorry, you will have a new person. I don't know who that will be, but as of July 1, I'm here to July 1, and then you'll have a different board member.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for letting us know. Well, so we'll meet in June, and then we take a break July and August. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So next on our agenda, we have a representative from the Anchorage Police Department. I'm not seeing anyone on as a listed participant. Shoot, okay. I send a public meeting request, I send an email, and no dice so far. I will share one quick update, because one thing I know as a community we've been concerned about is the Northwood property. And that's specifically what we kind of wanted an update on. And just today, I do have information about that. Lindsay is a private citizen, has been kind of taking it on herself awesomely to follow up about that. And the update I have today that we just got from Daryl, our city of ombudsman, was saying that the contractor visited the site today and plans to have day laborers on site daily to bag up the trash and haul it to the streets to be removed. He has a special attachment coming from Fairbanks this week that will allow him to brush cut the property. And the property owner, I believe, had previously received notice from code enforcement that they had until May 16th to come into compliance, or they'll face a $300 daily fine. Any exec board members are want to correct me on that, please do, but that's my understanding. So I just wanted to share that because I know that's an ongoing concern for folks here, and we hope to continue to get updates on that. And next on the agenda, we have Megan Peters with the airport. Thank you for being here, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Absolutely. I'm very happy to be here. Hopefully I can commandeer a little bit of the Alaska Police Department time, because I would like to introduce our new airport director, Craig Campbell. He is on the line. I'll let him introduce himself. Craig.
Well, thank you, Megan. Yes, I started about 5 weeks ago, and it's a pleasure to be here. I know that we're neighbors. The airport and the Spenard Community Council share a common area. I joined with the airport specifically to kind of help guide it through the next few months, as we're looking for a long-term director. And we have a master plan coming up. There's a lot of activity going on in the airport. I know some of it, like the development of general aviation parking when we move the control towers, of interest to your community council. I just wanted to let you know that I'm available. We are very open. Megan will be at your meetings. If you ever have questions, you can certainly call her or call me. Be glad to attend other meetings, but we just want to make sure that we're very transparent and work with you as neighbors as we go through the development of our airport. Over to you, Megan.
Thank you, Craig. So on that note, the major update that we have for everybody is that the most prominent construction project we have still going on is the loop road to the terminal. With that happening, we would love for people to use the cell phone lot so we can help relieve the congestion. Plan ahead, make sure you don't get to the curb until somebody actually calls you. What we're seeing is people go to the curb and then they just stall there. And while they're waiting for people, it blocks other people, and it just makes this huge knot. So that is going to be going on until right before Memorial Day weekend. We seem to be on track with construction. Hopefully that keeps the pace. Another thing that you will be seeing is the Lake Hood gravel strip 1432 runway. That is getting a bit of a facelift, a little bit more than it normally gets. They're digging down a little deeper than they normally do each year, so the life of the runway can be extended. That is nothing to do with the displacement parking, by the way. So if you see construction there, that is regular, it's seasonal, it's just a little bit more in depth. It's going to last for 2 weeks, and then there's going to be a week of rest before planes start landing back on that runway. We do have an overview of ANC projects that can be found on our website. I hope that you all have been given a copy of our regular updates, so you have all the necessary links to find those things. Again, the cell phone parking lot, it's not worth going in the circles. It just adds to the congestion and adds to frustration. So please, please, please use that cell phone lot at the Upside Down building. This year, our seat capacity potential is increased by 5% at least. It keeps changing due to airline schedules, but we're very excited that tourists are coming back in full force. This really helps with our economy. This Friday, we are having spring cleaning happening. Spring cleaning traditionally before COVID happened every single year. We have our employees, their families, tenants, their employees all participate. After they go around and help with cleanup, we feed them burgers and hot dogs. If you guys want to come out and participate, we'd be happy to have you. We'll give you a trash bag and then we'll give you a hot dog or a hamburger. We would love to see you guys be a part of the community at the airport because we really are our own community. Walking with a Purpose, Walk MS Anchorage 2022 will be taking place on May 14. We do have a link in our update where you guys can sign up for it. Our airport police and fire do have a team because they are honoring one of their past coworkers. They just no longer work in the department. They're still doing good to our knowledge. Airport recruitment, 1 in 10 jobs in the Anchorage airport or in the Anchorage area are at the airport. We're always hiring. Come to our webpage, joinanc.com, and see what kinds of jobs are available, not only as a state employee, but our tenants. They're frequently hiring and we're trying to help them as well. COVID at the airport, masks are now optional. That was a decision. We were following TSA guidance and TSA told us that they were expiring that mask requirement. Please be respectful of other people's choices. Some people may choose to wear masks, but it is your choice at this point in the Anchorage airport. If your COVID or if your destination that you're flying to requires a COVID test or proof of vaccination, that is something that you need to talk to your airline about. They make boarding decisions. They're the ones that can let you know what is required at where you're going to. So please be in close contact with your airlines if you have a big trip planned. We try and push out really good information to the community, and we do that through a program called Gov Delivery. On our website, there's links to where you can log on to it. We include the Gov Delivery sign up link on our updates every single month. So please sign up for those. Your neighborhood is impacted by the airport. We understand that, and we want you to be informed. If you have questions or comments, we have a complaints too. We have a portal on our website and it allows us to track and triage what you're talking about. So we can put your question, complaint, comment directly in front of the people that have the answers for you. And we can get back to you in a more concise manner. So if you can use that online portal, that is great. But you are also welcome to email me. I am always happy to assist you guys. My email address is Megan, M-E-G-A-N, boring spelling, I know, .peters@alaska.gov. Alaska spelled out, gov is short for government. Don't be afraid to hit me up. Also, with that construction project going on the gravel strip, I want you guys to know that that has nothing to do with any removed airport tie down parking for aircraft. That is something completely different. We are sampling on the sites that we're looking at to potentially put aircraft that are going to be displaced by the tower move in years to come. So you may see people, well, it was yesterday that they did the testing, but you will see construction for the runway rejuvenation, if you will. We're looking at 2 locations to do potential displacement parking. One of them is expanding the Echo parking and the other is on the east side of the gravel strip. Both of them are being evaluated. Our preferred location at this time is expanding the Echo parking tie down. That is all I really have. Do I have any questions? Or for Craig?
I'm not seeing any. Thank you so much, Megan, for being here tonight. And nice to meet you, Craig. Thanks for joining us as well.
I personally enjoy being here every single month. And if there's something that you guys have questions on that I can maybe be more prepared for next month, let me know. I'm happy to cater.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, guys.
Up next on our agenda is a representative from the mayor's office. Do we have anyone here from the mayor's office? Okay, yeah, they had specifically asked to be on our agenda. We put them on the agenda, send emails to them asking them to be here, and no dice so far. So sorry about that, guys. We do our best. Next on the agenda, we have Anchorage Fire Department and Chief Douglas Schrage. Sorry if I'm saying your last name incorrectly. Are you? I'm not seeing you listed as a participant. Do we have someone from the fire department here? All right, man, I'm striking out tonight. Sorry, guys. We send out the agendas a week in advance to everyone, but I do want to thank the folks who are here and make a commitment to our community council to be here and present and share out. We appreciate you. I understand stuff comes up. I know folks aren't intentionally missing our meetings, but I did want to do a shout out to those that are here. All right, so moving to our next agenda item, we are going to have a decision topic regarding Catalyst Retail proposed memorandum of understanding. I know I did see both Jed and Will Schneider with Catalyst Retail here. Yeah, you guys can take it from here. I'd be happy to share my screen with the proposed draft memorandum of understanding if that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'm Will Schneider. I'm with Catalyst Cannabis Company. I'm the owner, one of the owners, and I'm the founder. This will be our third retail store. And I know you guys are not strangers to cannabis stores in the Spenard Community Council. So yeah, so maybe welcome to some and not to others, but well, we're happy to be joining the Community Council here in Spenard amongst the others that we're already in. We really pride ourselves on being great business owners and neighbors. So we look forward to getting to know everybody and being another positive, hopefully, mark on the cannabis industry within this community and throughout the rest of Anchorage. And so, you know, we've prepared this memorandum of understanding with Jed and the committee there that you guys have for marijuana committee. So it's, you know, kind of old hat for you guys at this point. So I'm not sure how much, but you know, Jed can take it away here and add anything that he needs to add, and I can field questions for a few minutes or whatever you guys may ask. It's going to be, the location is a little bit further down on Spenard, so at least we're spreading it out a little bit this time. It's closer to International. The address is 4707 Spenard, which is where the old Enterprise used to be across from Millennium Hotel. We're doing construction on it right now. We're adding an addition on there, and we're making it a really spectacular building, actually. So we're pretty excited about it. What we're doing to actually beautify that little corner there and making it a pretty cool little spot. So thanks for having me. Hopefully, you know, it all goes without a hitch, and I'll be available, you know, throughout this meeting and whenever, if anybody needs to contact us. So I'm the main point of contact for Catalyst, and look forward to being in Spenard.
Excellent. All right, and so we have some time for some questions. I see Bob and Peggy with their hand raised.
Yes, is Will still there? Oh, there you are.
Yep, right
yes,
next to you.
hi. My husband and I live right down the street, and we were walking by your building, and I'm a curious person, so I talked to your construction guys yesterday. I didn't realize that's the Enterprise business has been gone for years, and that building was getting really decrepit. And just so the council knows, it looks like a beautiful building that you're going to have there. I'm really pleased that you didn't tear down the old one because it's got a lot of history. You've got so much room there. I'm going to put in a vote that if you have extra room to have a coffee shop.
Interesting. We're trying to figure out we do have extra room there actually, and within the building, and we're adding some space too. And it's something we talk about all the time. And coffee and cannabis seem to go very well together. So we'll see how that all develops. But as of right now, we're still focusing on the cannabis side, but we actually do have some extra space that we might have a tenant at some point down the road. And yeah, I mean, it is a huge lot. It's kind of a weird lot to work with if anybody's been there, because it is a long, narrow lot. You know, it's an acre lot, but it's kind of skinny. So, but it's a cool little building, and we're gonna, you know, it had, you know, cedar shake siding on it probably for the last 40, 50 years. We tore all that off. We're gonna maybe modernize it and put nice metal siding on it. It's gonna look really, really spectacular, actually.
I have one more question. Because it used to be a car rental place, it has a ton of parking behind it. Are you going to keep that Are you gonna keep that parking or are you gonna try to sell it at some point or?
We don't really know exactly what we're gonna do, because again, it's kind of an odd shaped lot. As of right now, we're redoing the back, and that will be our main parking lot for the building, because it's, I don't know if you've ever driven through there, but it's kind of a weird space in the front there, because there's like a pinch point from all these Chugach transformers there. So there's a pinch point, but there's actually two lots. And so most of our parking will end up going in the back for our customer parking. And there'll be about 10 spots in the back, and there'll still be about half an acre left that we're just gonna leave for the moment. Actually, someone's actually contacted us about a rental car, putting a rental car place in there. Someone's contacted about us putting a little brewery in there. But we actually have absolutely no plans for it, with redoing the parking lot that we need to do for compliance for the building as it stands, or as it will stand.
Would you be open to coming to the community council if you were ever thinking of, say, replatting? And because that neighborhood, except for where you are, is all residential. And that parking lot actually used to be residential. They took out some homes in there. So I hope that if you ever decide to replat that, that you would be, even though you may not even have to, be willing to come to the council and tell us what you're doing, just because we have an interest in keeping, things pleasant for the residential people.
Yeah, for sure. I think it all depends on what kind of plat it is. There's short plats and long plats that have different requirements with Title 21 and community meetings and whatnot. But of course, yeah, we want to keep everybody abreast on what we're doing. We have no problem, if we have any other development plans there to come forward and let you guys know what's going on. I know the previous owner at one point was considering building out some small, like, studio type condos in the back, like Airbnb 1-bedrooms, and that was his original plan. But like I said, right now we have absolutely nothing on the table besides getting the marijuana retail store up and running and looking pretty. So,
well, thank you.
But I have no problem keeping you guys informed about all of our developments.
Thank you. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, next up, I see Yvonne's hand is raised for a question.
I think you're on mute, Yvonne.
I do that all the time at work too. Hi, I live right down the street from on Valleywood, and my family have concerns about you going in there, but that's more me. But knowing that I can't do anything about that, when Enterprise was there, we would quite often leave our house and drive up there. And when people left out of the parking lot onto Valleywood, they have a very strong habit of only looking towards Spenard and not down Valleywood. And many times they pull out in front of us. Since construction has started, I have been almost hit 3 times by the construction people. It happened with Enterprise too. It is a habit of looking towards Spenard, but not the other way. Also, if there is any way that there can be, I've been trying to rack my brain as to, like, I know your parking will be in back, but is there any way of funneling the traffic to go out towards Aspen, like along the front? You can't go through the back.
And that is, yeah, it's kind of tricky, and that's the way the flow is intended to go, that people can either exit out on Valleywood or drive in front and continue on. And so they still have that option, kind of the way it was, but it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out in practice. People are kind of do what they want, but there'll be signage and stuff on the way, the intended directional there, which is actually, if you want to continue on, you drive past the building in the front and come out on Aspen. It's kind of a tricky situation too, because the driveway that goes onto Aspen is too close to the corner to make it a double driveway. It'd be great to have that be the entrance and exit for the whole building and have that be the parking lot. But it's too close to the corner to have a double in and out driveway right there. So it really can only be one way in or out. And it really only makes sense to do it the way that it's being drawn right now. So it's an awkward parking situation to say the least. We are aware of some of those problems, and we are directing people to go in front of the store to exit, but they will still, since there is a large enough driveway on the Valleywood side, I'm assuming people will still be doing that. But I'll definitely talk to the construction folks, make sure they're all aware about being more cognizant about you guys coming down the street, and making sure that. But I just took some notes on that too, as we move forward with our construction and finalizing like the parking layout and whatnot, that we've taken that into consideration.
Yeah, our street, granted, when I talked my husband into buying this house, I said, yay, a small street. It is a very narrow street and it does dead end. And so we would get a lot of rental cars turning left thinking, oh, race out of here. And then they get over the hill and it's no place to go. So yeah, just like a huge sign, maybe 12 feet wide, saying turn that way would be awesome. On a personal note,
Yvonne, I apologize for interrupting, but we have another question in the queue. You're welcome to follow up with Will directly. I think his contact info is in the neighborhood responsibility plan that I posted in the chat. So
yeah, and I can put my contact info in the chat too, just so everybody has it a little more accessible.
Perfect. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Yvonne. All right, I think we have time for one more question, as long as it's relatively brief. Celia.
I am Celia Rosen. I'm going to be really brief. The fact is, I can see your backyard from my backyard. I'm looking at your backyard right now. And I'm so glad it's not going to be another rental car company, because I used to be able to see all those cars until the trees leafed out. But I just wanted to plant an idea in your head, just like maybe use landscaping when you finally finish your design to kind of buffer yourself off from the neighborhood. So, because we are all residential around you, and it would be nice if you could put some trees or something up to kind of screen your parking lot.
Yeah,
That's an idea.
Okay, thanks, Celia. We haven't finished there is some landscaping requirements because of the amount of money we're spending on the exterior. So we do have some Title 21 conformity stuff that we have to do anyway. We have not finalized that plan yet. And that's another kind of weird aspect of this lot, because there's actually like this weird, we actually own the lot partially past the fence there. And so there's like a strip of land there that past our fence, it's still our land, probably in your backyard, where it would be appropriate to do some additional landscaping. And so we'll definitely take that into consideration as well, and especially with what our requirements are. But I'm not guaranteeing anything, but and believe me, it's going to be such a stunning building that you won't mind seeing it. But I understand seeing the traffic and everything going through there, and how that does definitely disrupts your standard of living. So I appreciate the comment, and I'll discuss all those things with my crew.
Terrific. All right. Thank you so much, Will, for being here, and folks for bringing up good questions and comments and engaging with our community. Will's contact info is in the chat now, and there's also the vote form, the Google vote form, that allows you to vote on the neighborhood responsibility plan. And as a reminder, upvoting that doesn't say that you necessarily, it's basically just agreeing to the terms of the agreement. So what we've laid out, not specifically about like voting on Will's license or anything like that. It's just about kind of the partnership and agreement that is set upon there. And a reminder, to be eligible to vote, you have to live in Spenard or own a business in Spenard boundaries. If you own a business, your business has one representative, and you have to have attended a meeting within the past 12 months. So that vote form is in the chat. Will, any other closing comments?
I'll just say one more thing about what the MOU is and states, is that it's really just so people understand that it's not in favor or opposition to the business itself, but it's really how we resolve conflicts if they arise, and how you guys have who to contact, how to contact us, and how we deal with conflicts if they ever do arise between us and neighbors or the community council. So that's really the whole point of the MOU, and that's the point of part of the special land use permit that we have to get. So just so everybody kind of has a better understanding of exactly what what you're voting on.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. You explained that very succinctly, and I will remember that good explanation for next time. So thank you, Will, for being here and engaging with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right, moving on to our next decision topic is our traffic calming resolution. And rather than Lindsay, we will have Jed presenting on this, maximum 10 minutes with time for questions as well. And I'm having some difficulties screen sharing, so I'll just post that in the chat so folks can hopefully have access to it, where you can go to our website. Jed, are you here?
I'm here. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for that last presentation, Will, and on to something new here. Last month in April, we did a poll during the meeting on traffic calming priorities, and this resolution is the result of that poll. Every year, the Muni Traffic Department kind of solicits interest from community councils on traffic calming priorities and projects, and we put together a list of our priorities so that they can do their do their traffic studies during the summer. So what this resolution does is it takes all of the lists of nominations from last month, and it adds them to the list of previously identified priorities. There were nine streets that were nominated for traffic calming priorities during this last month, and they are on the resolution. I can read them if you like, or I can just see if anyone has any questions or comments. I wasn't super involved in the drafting of this particular resolution. I've been involved in the past with the forwarding of these priorities, and like I said, those past priorities don't necessarily go away. And I think probably one of the questions we can ask is, what happens, what about those other priorities that are on the list? I think that once the study is done and if something is implemented on those, then they would come off the list. But until then, they just stay on the list.
Thank you, Jed. Are there any questions or comments? Or I know there were some folks here in the meeting who were involved with that as well. If anyone wanted to add anything on that section. Okay, I'm hearing and seeing none. That vote form should be in the chat shortly for voting or on that resolution, the traffic calming resolution. So thank you, Jed, for stepping up and being willing to share out on that tonight. All right. And then up next on our agenda, we have another decision topic, and that is going to be on the Spenard Road design. And we have Sarah, who is sharing out on that. And I will, since she's presenting, I will put the links in the chat for that.
Okay, thank you, Meg. Sorry, yeah, I in that instant realized that, wait, I am counting votes and presenting at the same time. So bear with me just a second.
While Sarah's doing that, I did want to share an update on 2 surveys that are going to be coming your guys' way, and I'll also put it in the chat. One we talked about last month was a decision gathering feedback for our executive board to make a decision about potentially returning to in-person meetings. So we put that on our Facebook page for folks to check out and do the survey. I'll put it in the chat here, and then we will also be sending that out through the listserv. Ideally on the same email as the second survey, which is going to gather feedback about the TIP, which I think is the Transportation Improvement Plan. which is separate from these other things that we're talking about, but we want to get feedback so we can have a proposed resolution for next month. So those surveys should be heading your way.
All right, thank you, Meg. Okay, so some of us got together to read over the 35% design plan for Spenard Road. And of course, we heard from some presenters last meeting. And so we came up with a resolution with our recommendations towards the end, which you'll see if you click on it. Really what it boils down to is we wanted the section that they'd be working on, we wanted the design of the road to be designed for 20 to 25 miles an hour, reducing the width of the driving lanes and prioritizing the ease of use for non-motorized traffic and for mass transit. We wanted the bike lanes a little wider, incorporating access to cross streets in the design. We wanted some safe ADA compliant crosswalks. And since the Spenard corridor plan also indicates that we are a transit corridor, especially along that road, we wanted to integrate public transit into the design, which isn't there as of yet. And we wanted to make sure that they included winter maintenance. And we also wanted their explanation of some of their decisions and some of the things that they decided not to include. We wanted them to explain those based on the criteria outlined in the Spenard corridor plan. That was a really quick explanation, and I'm better at Q&A than I am presenting. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Sarah. And I know there's some folks who are here in the meeting, I think, who are also involved in that process. So if anyone wants to add anything in there. I have uploaded two things to the chat. The first is a draft of that resolution. Again, that's available on our website. And then the voting form for you to vote on that resolution. And I am seeing a hand from Phil. So Phil, welcome to ask a question.
Here we go. On the Spenard thing, you're restricting the ways in and out of Spenard. Has anybody decided if they're going to open up Spenard a little more? Because when they do the construction up to the intersection at Minnesota, it's going to be difficult to get in and out of Spenard. You're going to have to go down to International Airport Road, or you're going to have to probably go down Wisconsin to Benson or Northern Lights. It kind of traps us in there.
I might need some clarification from you, Mr. Isley. Coming to Spenard from where?
On the construction they're doing on the Spenard Road, where they're taking it from, I think, Northern Lights to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to come about.
Yes.
They're going to redo that intersection there.
Yes, at Spenard in Minnesota.
And that's the main way we get in and out of Spenard.
Okay. Yes. So they explained at the meeting last month that they can't, they're looking for a waiver in order to be able to include Minnesota in their design, because Minnesota is a state road, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong on some of these minor details. They could only go up to Minnesota and they couldn't include Minnesota in their design. So they're trying to incorporate that because yes, they recognize, the designers recognize that as an issue as well. But their solution was to have it become a 5-lane road with 4-foot sidewalks. And 4-foot sidewalks are not ADA compliant, and 5 lanes was too big for
I understand that.
looking for in the
The thing that I'm saying is when they're doing all that, there's a good chance they're going to block part of that intersection part of the time.
Yes.
Okay, from Spenard to International Airport Road, which is the next one that they're going to be doing, there's not very many exit places from there. If you take Northwood, it turns you back going to Jewel Lake. You can take McRae into Wisconsin and then go back to Northern Lights. But that's basically the only two options you have of getting out of Spenard.
I think that's outside the scope of this resolution, because this is only dealing with the section of road that is Spenard Road from Minnesota to Benson.
Well, it might be worth throwing that out there, because in that time, there's a good chance they're going to block that intersection. And it's going to basically landlock us just about.
Okay, thank you, Phil, for your questions and comments. Checking to see if anyone else has any questions about this resolution. Again, I know there's been a lot of stuff posted in the chat, but there's both the draft resolution, which again is available on our website, and the vote forms. So folks should have access to 3 vote forms. The first up was the vote form to vote on the neighborhood responsibility plan with Catalyst Retail. The second was the traffic calming resolution, and the third was the Spenard Road design. If anyone's having difficulty with those, please message one of the hosts, because we can do our best to assist you and input your vote for you if you're comfortable doing that. I know some people have difficulty with Google Forms sometimes. So, all right, I see. I'm not sure.
I'll make this quick. Okay, if Phil is confused about where this is, because they already did from Woodland Park or from McRae, they already did all that road design in like 1981. So I'm quite sure they don't have this open to this. But if there's confusion about that, is it possible to just have that in the the heading of this resolution or somewhere in the description about that we are talking from Benson to Minnesota or something, so that it's clarified for people that what we are talking about? Is that possible?
We could make an amendment, but it is in the 4th whereas, but it could be clearer. The 4th whereas is the EMS non-motorized plan identifies Spenard Road as a priority bicycle network with a separated bikeway in the section from Minnesota Drive to Benson Boulevard and as a secondary pedestrian network corridor, etc. But we clearly identify that we're talking about this resolution.
I'm only saying in terms of like, just for clarification for people, what we are talking about. We are not talking about International. We're not talking about Northwood. We are talking about a section of the road from Benson to Minnesota. That's what this is encompassing. Maybe just saying it verbally, this will get across to people. But I think that we need to clarify that I don't think there's any plans to redo the section of the road that they did in 1981 from the railroad tracks down to International. I don't believe that that's going to be part of any plan.
It sounds good, Peggy. Thanks for your clarification there. And yeah, it sounds like it's embedded in the resolution. Okay, I see another question, I think, from Kelly.
Oh, hi. I had a couple things. First, I was thinking maybe Phil was talking about construction impacts. Is that what you were concerned with, Phil? About them possibly closing Spenard during construction, but I know the DOT
That was my concern, yes.
Okay, you didn't make it clear that was during construction, and that does make sense because they will, but they'll route traffic and they'll keep traffic going to the businesses there. You know, they'll move people around and keep it open. So I don't believe they have any intention of completely closing the road ever.
That would be good.
But you know, of course, you have to talk to the project manager at DOT, which I think that's Alex Reed. And then I guess my other thing I wanted to say is, as far as this resolution about the design goes, I guess just for everybody's information, an ADA compliant sidewalk is a minimum width of 3 feet. So it's 36 inches. And if the design didn't meet any federal requirements like that, the federal government would not participate. So you don't have to worry about them trying to sneak a quick one in there or something, you know, because they wouldn't get the funding if it didn't comply with federal regulations. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Wonderful. All right. So I'm not seeing any other questions. Oh, sorry, Sarah, did you have something to add?
No, just to add, I will double check on where we found that the 4-foot sidewalk wasn't wide enough for what standard that was. I read that it was ADA compliant. Some of us on the task force read that it was ADA compliant, but if that is not accurate, I want to make sure that this resolution is accurate. I don't want to be putting falsehoods out there. So I will dig further into that, and we can also table this until June. There is not a rush on this part. And so I can bring this back amended if somebody wants to table it or make a motion to table it.
Well, that's a
Would
good
the
question.
other option be to make a motion to vote? Because it wouldn't. Yeah, let's make a motion to vote.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm hearing a motion to vote on the topic from Nat.
Second.
There you go.
I am also currently amending the draft to include the clarification about the stretch of road. So that is clearer.
Great, that sounds good to me. I think we can make a move to vote on the resolution with the idea of that amendment being in there. And then sounds like we had a second from Margaret, and then sounds good to everyone. Okay, cool. So the links for voting are in the chat for folks to access. And I'm realizing I goofed on not asking for permission to vote on the second resolution. Sorry about that, guys. I'm still learning. If I make goofs like that in the future, definitely feel free to interrupt me, but sounds like folks were comfortable with voting by other resolutions that we had in the chat. So speaking of that, Sarah's going to be hard at work tallying those votes. And while we do that, we can transition now to our community announcement section. So this is for folks who were not listed on the agenda. I know some folks reached out to me asking if they can share updates. We'll ask you to, I know some folks put stuff in the chat already, but if you want to share out verbally, please use the raise hand feature and we'll just call on you. We try our best to keep these to about 2 minutes so that everyone has time to share their announcements. So I'll just go based on whose hands I see first. So I see Emily. Emily, thanks for being here. And then we'll move to
Hi. Thanks for having me. And I'm unsure if this is the right part, but I was curious how I would nominate a local road to get fixed. And if there is what the schedule is for looking for nominations, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. And someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that could be part of the transportation improvement plan, which they're slated to get feedback for projects 2023 to 2026, I think. In that, we're going to be putting a survey together asking for feedback and nominations. And so, great. Yeah, and that I think that's due June 10th. So I think the plan there is going to be for us to send out a survey. So please check your email for the FCC notices. And if you aren't getting those, you can go to the website to sign up for the email list. So you should get a survey. And then once we get that feedback, we'll work on creating a resolution. And then we'll bring that to the June meeting for folks to vote on that resolution. And then that will give us sort of autonomy as an exec board or exec board delegate to go into the muni site and submit those.
Okay, and I'll just take the survey, but I don't need to
Yeah.
share information about the road or anything.
Yeah, that would be great, Emily. And then if you do want to email me, directly, if you're interested in participating more, you can email spenardcc@gmail.com.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Can I add something, Meg?
Sure. Yes, please.
So that process gives the city an idea of what the priorities of the community are and the community council that then we use to prepare bond packages that then might be a couple years out to actually do the work on the road. But in case, Emily, there's, and then there's state roads too, right? So something like Minnesota or Northern Lights is actually a state road, not a muni road. So it sort of depends on what type of road. And that's always the first question, especially when people email like, my road's not being plowed. It's like, well, which road? Anyway, one other thing I wanted to add though is there sometimes is funding to do small patch jobs. So if there's a really bad pothole or there are small things on your road that are causing a problem, feel free to reach out to me or to Meg. And I usually just email Public Works and say, hey, this issue's going on the sidewalk, or there's some small bit, and we could get to that sooner. So there's a process for, here's a big road and we want to put it on a priority list to do a massive, design and update versus I have this little tiny problem right here. We might be able to get to that sooner.
Okay, because it's a little, it's a 500-foot road, but the entire road is, I've got a taxi who was like, I'm never coming down your road ever again. And I've got a neighbor who can't get out of his driveway because the ice grader scraped off the top 5 inches of asphalt and dumped it in front of his driveway. And I've called and it's just a muni road, and I've called the muni a few times and I'm getting nowhere. So I was like, can you just fix the whole thing? Because it's one big pothole now.
Yeah, I think you're in the right place. It's just making sure the community council's aware and then they can get that on the priority list.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Austin, for providing that clarification. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. I had Tawny up on the list. I think Tawny might have had to step away. So I'll move on to who I saw next, whose hand is on next, which was Matt or Margaret.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it was me. So next month is June. I won't be able to be here. I'll be delivering some freedom tactically overseas. And this Sunday, we've got the Great Alaska Air Gathering. The 211th is going to have a C-130 parked out there, and you can walk in and push all the buttons and see what I do at work. And then this fall, we will be having the full U.S. Air Force Air Show, and the base will be open, and the 211th will be selling enchiladas for an unreasonable markup to make money for our squadron. So that's what I've got going on.
Nice. Thanks, Matt. All right, Jed.
Hey, thanks. I just wanted to mention that I am on the board of the Anchorage Folk Festival, and we are hosting a big event coming up on Saturday, May the 14th at Cuddy Family Park. We have been unable to hold our in-person festival typically every January. The last 2 years have kind of put a damper on things. So we're hoping to make it up to our community a little bit by having some community musicians perform, as well as a headliner, the band Rose's Pawn Shop. It's going to be at Cuddy Park on Saturday, May 14th, and it's free to the public. Please come. It starts at noon and it will go until 10 o'clock. There's more information on who the lineups are at the Anchorage Folk Festival website. So thank you.
Thanks, Jed. Up next, I see Simon, and after Simon, Austin.
Hi, sorry, just taking myself off mute. Hi, thanks, Meg. Actually, I'm here calling from the National MS Society. Thanks to Meg for letting me make a quick announcement. Also on Saturday, I'm here actually on Saturday, May 14th, as someone mentioned earlier, actually, we have Walk MS Anchorage, which is happening on Lakefront. I'm actually here just calling a bit of a call out for some volunteer assistance for the event. So I'm going to put all the details of the event in the chat. But basically the event is on Saturday, May 14th in the morning. Volunteer slots start from 6:30 in the morning and we'll finish around midday. And we need lots of volunteers to help set up the event, registration, walk registration, refreshments, and helping us tear down the event afterwards. So we have loads of opportunities for individuals, groups, businesses, families, adults, kids, children, juniors, everything. So I'll put all the details in the chat, including all my contact details. So if anyone has any questions or wanted to reach out or wanted to sign up, then please do.
Wonderful. Thank you, Simon. All right, and Austin.
Thanks, Meg. Well, before I do my update, actually, Jed, it's so funny that you mentioned Rose's Pawn Shop, because I'm pretty sure the reason that they came to Alaska was that I was in Reno visiting my aunt and uncle, and I saw this band play in a casino, and I really liked the guy, and I went up to him and I said, you should come to Alaska. And then I hooked him up with Tim Nixon, who hosted them at a concert that then now they have started coming every year and playing in Alaska. So it's so fun to hear that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's the same group, but on to my update, which I actually wanted to share, which is that I shared this with Meg and Lindsay and Karen, but you'll remember that one of the things that Cameron and Forrest and I worked to get on the bond this year was the Fish Creek feasibility study. And we're all very excited to see what it would be like to daylight Fish Creek and sort of what the opportunities are there, what the cost would be, where we would be able to do a variety of different things. And this feasibility study is just an important first step. So we in January had bond counsel, which is lawyers that the muni uses to evaluate what can go on bonds and what can't. Bond counsel reviewed it. Council reviewed that amendment in January, said, yep, this looks good. Then it went on the ballot, voters voted for it. Last week, I got a call from the administration saying that bond counsel has determined that the Fish Creek feasibility study is not eligible for bond funding, to which I said, why didn't you tell us that in January or in February or March, or hey, even last week or the week before while we were working on the 1Q budget revisions, and we could have considered this as part of the operating budget. So I'm waiting to hear back from bond counsel about the reasoning. I do think it potentially makes sense since it's just a study and not necessarily connected to a particular capital project, that it could be true, but I'm just frustrated about the timing and letting us know so late, particularly after voters already voted on it. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that this is going on. I did alert a few people who have been advocating for this for a while, and we're going to work to find a solution. And I've been talking with someone at the administration who's very helpful as well. So we'll just keep working on it, but I wanted everyone to know there is an article coming out about it, and I did call the ADN today and let them know this was happening so that their article was accurately reflecting where we are at the moment. So anyway, just wanted to let you know, stay tuned, and hopefully I will be here next month. My wife is having a baby. We're having a baby, but she's carrying the baby. And thank you. We're so excited. And the baby is due June 11th. And we don't know if it will come early or late. So I think you all meet in June, right? In early June. Yeah. So I'll try to be here. If not, we'll see you soon.
Nice. Thank you, Austin. That's my best friend's birthday. So if the baby's born on that date, she'll have a good birthday, and yeah, totally understandable if you can't make it next month. And I appreciate you being here to listen in, even though you weren't the assigned person today, and for your transparency about the Fish Creek project. So shout out there. Awesome. All right. And it looks like we have, I don't know if that's a question or announcement from Bob and Peggy.
Sorry, Austin, I have a quick question. Do you have any idea what would happen to those monies if it turns out that, because the bond was approved,
yeah,
is there a way to park it so that it could be applied in another way for Fish Creek?
So what would, oh, sorry, that's my dog. What would happen is the money for this project was only $300,000, which is pretty low in terms of sort of the scale of bond funding. And what typically happens is that all of the bonded projects, those are estimates in cost. And so, you know, there might be a road project, for instance, maybe Emily's Road, it's not on this one, but next time, you know, that they estimated would cost 1.8 million and it ends up costing 2.1, and then they would use that 300,000 there. So there's flexibility to move around in the projects that we're bonded for what those monies. I'm sure there's some limit on how much you can move it around, but that $300,000 will be used on something that voters approved, but it might be the case that we can't use it on this. And the things that the two options I'm considering and working with, you know, some colleagues in the administration and our attorney to pursue right now are, one, you can do a supplemental budget item. So we typically do, you know, a budget in the fall. So last November, we passed the budget for FY22. Then in April, we look at the budget, you know, expected revenues, expected expenses for January, February, March. And we look in April and true it up and say, oh, okay, yeah, we brought in a little more money. Like for instance, the mayor had suggested there would be low revenue, and the assembly thought there would be high for a couple things. And we were right, it was high. So, you know, we kind of trued that up, and then we secure it for the rest of the year. But you can also bring just a standalone item saying, we want to change, for instance, the operating budget for FY22 to add $300,000 for a Fish Creek study. I did ask Karen, you know, is this going to happen all this summer? Could we add half of it this year, half of it next year? So I'm trying to think through those options. The second option is we're in the process, the assembly, of determining how to spend the second batch of ARPA funding, which is American Rescue Plan Act funding that Congress passed to help people and communities as a result of the impacts of the pandemic. And so we could potentially fund this with ARPA funding. So that's another thing that I'm looking into. So those are the two options I'm thinking of now, but I think we're going to figure it out. It's just going to take a little work.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Austin. All right, and up next, we have an announcement from Tani.
Okay, well, hopefully you can see me. I'm out at the softball fields, and I apologize, there's playgrounds and all sorts of noise. So I'm announcing the two cleanup events we have this month. On Saturday, May 14th, we will be meeting at the Nave. Cook Inlet Housing is awesome, and they're gonna let us use their parking lot. So it'll be from 1 to 4 p.m. And then on Wednesday, May 25th, we're going to meet behind Napa and focus on the other half of Spenard. It'll be a 2-hour event after work, 5:30 to 7:30, or I might be out there a little longer because I live right there. And we hope that folks will join us at either of the events, both events. There's two different parts of Spenard. One problem I've recognized, and it's a good problem to have, I have to be honest, Spenard is actually pretty decently clean. There is trash, but for the different events, we want to be creative about where we pick up. So if you have any suggestions, you're welcome to send an email to the Spenard Community Council, or I would give you my cell phone number to text trash and tell me where we go. Oh, and I have to run. So if somebody else can, I have to go up to bat, but I hope to see you guys there.
Awesome. Good luck, Tani. Matt, I think there was another piece about the cleanup. Would you be willing to share out about that, please?
So we got a piece of mail inviting us to participate in a local promoters cleanup, and it's the Carousel to Coots on the 21st. And I think they're gonna have a little party at the Carousel, have some cocktails, and then they're gonna clean their way from Carousel to Coots. And I think it's a pretty fun way to meet some of your more colorful neighbors in the neighborhood. And yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that one, but that one sounds like it would be more fun. And I personally hate picking up trash, so maybe getting a few beers in me, it'd be more fun.
Thanks, Matt, for stepping in and being the pinch hitter on the update to the cleanup. So lots of good cleanups going on this month. Encourage you to participate. For the Spenard ones, we'll make Facebook events and promote those there. So check it out. But yeah, May 14th, Saturday 1 to 4, and Wednesday the 25th from 5:30 to 7:30. All right, so two quick announcements on my end. So as noted, Julie couldn't, I guess couldn't make it tonight, so we are not going to be doing the treasurer report and the door prize. We'll do that, push it to next month as well. And then we do have reports back from our resolutions from the count. The neighborhood responsibility plan with Catalyst passed 16-1. Our traffic calming resolution passed 15-2. And the Spenard road design passed 12-2. I know there was a lot of voting and stuff going in the chat, so thank you guys for voting and your good questions today. I'm not seeing any other announcements coming through, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn a little early tonight. Is there, or ask for a motion? Is there a motion? I'm seeing Margaret with a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? I saw Peggy with her finger up, so I'm going to call on Peggy for that one. Thank you, Peggy. All right, well, thank you guys for joining tonight. Happy May, and we'll be meeting again June 1st. Oh my goodness, June 1st will be our next meeting, and then we take our traditional break for July and August. If you have agenda items, please send those to spenardcc@gmail.com. Our exec board will be meeting May 17th to finalize the agenda. So if you can send that to us between now and then, that's helpful so that we can make a good plan for next month. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night.